Okay, I'm your host, Caoimhe Foy, and welcome Matt Harvey from Deep
Deep
Paranormal
Woods
from Sound of Your
Woods
Soul.
Paranormal. Yeah,
Deep Paranormal from Sound of Your Soul. Welcome.
thank
So,
you.
Harvey, how did you actually get really into the paranormal? What started you off?
It started as a kid. I'm sure you've heard the story a lot of times. Pretty much anybody I interview who has had encounters with ghosts says the same thing. But as a kid, I used to see things that I couldn't explain. And growing up in a family where my mom was heavily Catholic, my dad was a non-believer in ghosts. And back in the early '80s, being a kid, you didn't say the word ghosts. You didn't say the word haunting. You didn't say the word medium. You didn't say any of that stuff or psychic. They put you in a institution if you did that.
Wow.
So essentially, I just kind of live with it. I would see things. People would be here and then gone, and then I don't know what happened. I was just a real early kid. I used to tell my parents things, and they were like, "What in the hell is this kid talking?" They didn't know how to handle me. They didn't know what to do with me.
Okay.
And so essentially, as I got older, it got more and more intense.
Okay.
I used to have like things move around in my room, cause the door open and close on its own. If you've ever seen the movie The Sixth Sense, when he builds the tent fort,
Okay.
that's what I used to do. I used to have a bunk bed that would slide out into an L shape. And
Wow.
the bunk bed, I had a dresser that would slide in where the bunk bed or the bottom bunk used to be. And so I'd create a fort. I put a sheet over the top from the top bunk down over the bottom one and sleep down there.
Yes.
And I put extra sheets around so that it was basically completely enclosed. And I'd leave the light on. I'd sleep with the light on because I was too scared to sleep with the light off.
Wow.
And so essentially one day inside, the outside was dark, but inside. So essentially one day I was up because I couldn't sleep. I became an insomniac as a kid because of all the stuff going on in the room. I could hear people move around and the talking, the whispering, and stuff like that. It's
Wow.
just jibber jabber. You can't understand what they're saying. But
Yes.
anyways, so I'm laying there and I look up and I see a shadow literally go by the sheet. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like 7 or 8 years old. I don't know what the heck to do with that, right? I'm like,
Right.
holy crap! There's something essentially, basically, out there. And then a little while later, my mom comes in. I think she was kind of very intuitive. She knew that something was going on with me, but she couldn't understand exactly what it was. She didn't know how to comfort me.
And
But
and
she'd come in and check on me every once in a while.
and did you ever like go out doing like sort of like haunted houses, or did you like experience uh anything that actually really scared you and you'd say, wow, I just got really frightened there?
Yeah, almost everything as a kid scared me. I didn't know what was going on. The paranormal was not something that was basically was broadcast
Yes.
until the early '90s or late '80s when Unsolved Mysteries came on and sightings and all those other shows. And I used to watch those religiously. Um, and my parents used to hate it. And then the X Files came on and all this other stuff. I was just addicted to it.
Very good.
But yeah, it wasn't until I met my wife um, in high school where I was living in a house, and that house had a really negative, I don't want to say V word, but a really negative entity. And oh my gosh, my dad built a house, and things happened. Like tools would be rearranged,
Wow.
animals, one of our animals disappeared. Even though it was locked inside the house, we could never find it. No body, no blood, no nothing, just disappeared and stuff like that. And the workers freaked out. I mean, literally, one guy had he was doing a roof, and the roof were at like 45-degree angle in this house.
Wow.
This was almost a 6,000 square foot home, and a couple $1 million home. And so he was up there, and he had his construction belt on, and his tool, his hammer, came flying up out of his belt, landed on the wood, went up and over the other side, basically then went about 45 feet to the left and went and landed on a window that my dad had ordered. And these windows were not cheap. These were back in the day, and my dad didn't spare any expense on his house. They
Wow.
were wood panel, beautiful French windows with the wood panels in them, and they were handmade and stuff like that. And they were not cheap. And it broke the panel, which is fine because they were able to fix it really easy. But it scared the hell out of the construction guy.
I say so.
I was standing next to my dad while I was trying to explain it to him, and he's like, "I have no idea." My dad's like, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's okay." You know what? They were almost done doing the roof anyways, but yeah, I mean, freaked him out.
Wow.
So long story short, we moved in, and things started happening. Um, Cold spots, the feeling of being watched, just uncomfortable in the house. And
Okay.
my brother played baseball, and so he was a really good player, and he basically um, traveled quite a bit. They traveled. My parents traveled quite a bit, and they left me home alone a lot because I was 18. I could take care of myself. And I was working and going to school and stuff, so they left me home, and so essentially, when I was at home, things would happen.
Wow.
Like walking upstairs, up and down. It's a third story. There's nobody up there. I
Crikey.
know there's nobody up there. The doors are all locked. That attic area is creepy as hell. I mean, it's basically my dad, like I said, spared no, expense on his house. This house never creaked or cracked.
Wow.
He screwed and glued every board down up there. You know, three
Crikey.
quarter inch plywood. I mean, it was like you'd have to actually need heavy sole shoes or boots to make those noises of footsteps walking around up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like for ghosts now, like I mean, what would happen? Did you ever have a bad experience with a ghost, with touching you or throwing something at you or like just creeping you out?
Um, Creeping me out with ghosts, not demons. Yeah, I've had things thrown at me. I've been scratched, bitten, burned. Of course, I don't know what that was. I don't think that was a demon or a ghost. That was something
Right.
otherworldly. I don't know exactly what it was. Didn't
Okay.
respond to religion at all. Um, the ghosts, yeah, they move stuff on me all the time. It doesn't really scare me. It frustrates me more than anything. Like things, I'll go to grab something and it'll fly off the counter. It's more playful. I think they're trying to be playful. Like
Yeah.
you can see, I mean, there's all those dolls and stuff. The Raggedy Andy doll has a little boy attached to him. He's a good little kid. Um, and there's other things, of course, over there that have attachments.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, things happen around me all the time. Things move. Most of the time, it's just like shock. It's like, what the? Oh, okay. And then everybody's looking at me like, what just happened? You know what I mean? I learned at 18 when I met my wife, at 19 when I met my wife, I learned to turn the tables on, basically, like I was saying, the house that we lived in scared the hell out of me. Things always happening in that house. In fact, my friends wouldn't even spend the night because weird things would happen. And so when I met her, she came into my life and she experienced it too. And her family was more spiritual and more open to it.
Yes.
Uh, and then basically she taught me to turn the table. So that's when at 19 years old, that's when I started really investigating ghosts. I was
Crikey.
up there, with a huge VHS camera over my shoulder. At this point in time, you couldn't get IR. I mean, infrared cameras, they didn't exist to,
Yeah.
to the public essentially. And flashlight, almost like a Scooby Doo. And then basically my dad's cassette tape and up there asking questions. Didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you, because there were no ghost hunting shows on at that point. There was nothing out there to teach you how to do this stuff. I was just kind of learning them as they went. And I guess I got a recording one day because my dad came running in because he was a lawyer at that point, and he used to dictate to his secretary using his little cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And I put a new one in, which he didn't know. He thought I had overridden his recording. He was listening back to it just to make sure he didn't want to change anything or add something to what he wanted her to document and type up for him. And he's thinking, what's this? And again, my dad's a non-believer. Somebody scared the hell out of him. I
Oh,
caught something
oh,
up there. I don't know what it was. I was like,
wow.
what's this? And he wouldn't let me listen to it. He wouldn't tell me what it was. He just heard something. He threw the tape away. He just
Wow.
broke the tape and threw it away. I was like, oh,
Jesus.
okay. And we moved on.
And
And so she and I started investigating, just going to different, haunted places and stuff like that. And the Queen Mary, the Whaley House in California. We used to live in California, now we're in Texas. Um, just anywhere that was haunted. And as we went, we started meeting celebrities and stuff like that, and getting invited over to their homes, and it was cool. We created the California Ghost Hunters at that point, and when that show Ghost Hunters is on, somebody's like, "Hey, that's what you do." And we're like, "Okay." We didn't have any equipment really at that time.
yes.
We were just going to experience things, walking in with just us, and maybe a cell phone, and maybe one of those little portable disposable cameras that you just kind of take a picture and click, and wind it and take another picture. That's what we were basically doing. And so we basically, they said, "Oh, well, that's what you do. You should go help people in their homes." I'm like, "Yeah, nobody's going to call us."
My God.
So lo and behold, we got our first client, and oh my God, that was crazy. His name
Wow.
was Josh.
Wow.
So we went over there, and we had like one handy cam between the four of us, the four team members I had that had night vision. And somebody had actually gotten his first night vision camera, which was cool. It wasn't as big as the old big VHS, but it was pretty good sized.
Yeah.
I think it recorded like, I don't know, 30, like half a gigabyte of memory or something like that, which is nothing today. I mean, it
Wow.
recorded like 5 megapixels. This is what, 30 years ago?
Oh,
So pretty close. Anyways, yeah, so we started investigating, and we had one audio recorder, a bunch of KT meters and stuff like that. And so we're walking around trying to document this stuff. And I'm in the house, and a couple of the investigators are out in the garage, and they're like, "Hey, Matt, come out here, come out here." I'm like, "What?" And as soon as I go out there, because this is his dad's old house, or no, his grandpa's old house, and he and his grandpa were really, really close. Anyway, so I walked out there, and his grandpa's car is still parked in the garage, and all of a sudden I see a shadow dart to the left. I'm like, "What the hell?
oh,
What's going on here?" So I'm watching the shadow, and they're like, "No, no, but look at the wrench on the hook over there." So there's basically just a 2x4 holding, just basically a wood
yeah.
plank, and he had stuff on top of there like a shelf, and then he had to put a nail in the side of that of the 2x4 that was at a 45-degree angle, and there was just a normal wrench hanging in there, heavy wrench, and it's going back and forth. I'm like, "Okay, what the heck, guys?" I thought they were playing a trick on me.
No
I'm
way.
like, "Okay, you guys move this." And I'm like, "Okay." We sat there and watched it for, God, 2 or 3 minutes, and it's not stopping. It's just consistently back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, "What
Oh,
the hell?" I'm like, "What is that?" And so we're recording this, and we're like, "Well, what is going on?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to stop this." So I grabbed it and I stopped it. And it was sitting perfectly still. And I go,
oh,
"Okay, you
that's
need to prove this to me," right? Because I have a skeptical side. We were a TAPS family member team, and we were like, "Okay, we need to be skeptical first."
yeah.
So we're like, "Okay." I'm like, "Okay, start moving that." No sooner as I said that, it starts going slide between back
Oh,
and forth.
oh.
It's back up to that full speed. I'm like, "What the hell?" I was shocked. I'm like, "Oh, what the hell is going on here?" And it didn't stop for like
Oh
10,
my
15.
God.
It just kept going and going and going. I'm like, "Wow." That
Christ.
was as a team member, that was one of my first team member experiences. Holy crap. And then we picked up a whole bunch of EVPs in that house, of his grandpa talking to him, telling him everything's okay, I'm okay, because he was concerned about his grandpa. He had a heart attack and died in the house.
Jeez.
And,
Oh,
yeah, so basically he was concerned that his grandpa, had unfinished business or whatever. And he said, "I'm good. Don't worry about me." And then he had a dog pass away in the house, the client did. And so we go in the living room, we brought him in, and we're kind of explaining things, and we're sitting in the dark and we're kind of showing you what we're doing so you can see what's going on. And literally, all of a sudden, I see this, this shadow about 2 feet off the ground, and it's like a long, skinny shadow, and it moves towards me. I'm like, what the hell? And I said to him, hey, did you have a dog? He's like, yeah. And all of a sudden, this thing comes moving over towards me. I'm like, what the hell? I look down and it touches my knee. And all of a sudden, it's like, how dogs drool? Sometimes some dogs drool.
Wow.
There's all kinds of like saliva on my
Ew.
leg. I'm like, oh.
Oh.
With the dog, the ghost dog, it literally drooled.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, so that basically is what started our career into researching the paranormal.
Oh
Since then,
wow.
I don't know, we've done